Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Today we're jumping headfirst into one of the biggest shocks the MotoGP paddock has seen in years. Aprilia, the team that for so long was stuck propping up the back of the grid, has suddenly transformed into the most intimidating force on the entire circuit. In this video, we're going to unpack exactly why the RSGP has turned into such a dominant machine, what's left Ducati scrambling for answers, how Marco Bezzecchi is leaving his rivals looking completely lost, and crucially whether this incredible run is going to hold strong right through to the end of the 2026 season. Make sure you stay with me until the very end because I've got a really good question lined up for you guys in the comments section. Alright, let's dive straight in. First, a bit of background to set the scene. When Aprilia made their return to the premier class with the RSGP in 2015, they spent season after season stuck right at the tail end of the field. Just think about that for a second. Almost a full decade of being the paddock's favorite backmarker, but then 2026 arrived and everything flipped completely on its head. So far this season, Aprilia have taken victory in 4 out of the 6 races that have been run, with their lead rider Marco Bezzecchi leading every single lap across 3 full Grand Prix weekends. And honestly, that's not even the full story. For the very first time in the team's history, Aprilia are heading into the upcoming European rounds sitting at the top of all 3 world championships at once, the riders, constructors, and team standings. All 3. This isn't some lucky fluke, guys, this is a full-on takeover. And if you're still not fully convinced, just look at the hard numbers, they don't lie. After the first 3 rounds of the 2026 season, Aprilia are sitting pretty with 101 points in the Constructors' Championship. Ducati are back on 69 points, while KTM have 65. Now stack that up against the exact same point last year, when Aprilia could only manage 33 points compared to Ducati's massive 111. Their points haul has almost tripled in the space of just 12 months. It's absolutely extraordinary. Now here's the question that really cuts to the heart of it all: what exactly is the RSGP 26 and why has it become so brutally effective on track? The bike has been called the most extreme technical evolution that Aprilia have ever rolled out, and it had to be, especially with the current 1,000 cubic centimeter regulations set to come to an end in 2027. Under the technical direction of Fabiano Sterlachini, the RSGP 26 has been completely re-engineered in virtually every single area. There's been a strong emphasis on much more aggressive aerodynamics, engineered to deliver consistent downforce while still preserving strong straight-line speed. Moving beyond the bodywork, both the aluminum alloy frame and the carbon fiber swing arm have been fully redesigned to sharpen up the bike's agility and responsiveness through the corners. Meanwhile, the electronics package, now running on a thoroughly updated Magneti Marelli control unit, makes sure that the ferocious power from the V4 engine is delivered with real precision and control. On paper, it all sounds seriously impressive, but on the track it looks downright ruthless. Yet if we're talking about the single biggest weapon in Aprilia's current arsenal, it has to be their braking performance. Right now, the RSGP is noticeably superior in the braking zones compared to both Ducati and KTM. Superior braking allows the rider to stop the bike more effectively, turn in sharper and earlier, and then get back on the power sooner at the corner exit. When you put all of those elements together, it adds up to a built-in advantage at every single corner on every single circuit. Now let's shift the focus to the rider who's making it all happen, Marco Bezzecchi. This season, he's been riding like a man who has unlocked every last bit of potential he possesses. His win at COTA pushed him to 5 consecutive victories, with that streak actually kicking off towards the end of the previous season. To really put that achievement into perspective, that run now places him alongside some of the true legends of the sport, names like Marc Marquez, Mick Doohan, and Giacomo Agostini. These aren't just big names in motorcycle racing. These are widely regarded as the greatest riders who have ever lived, and now Bezzecchi's name is sitting right there next to theirs in the history books. In the current championship standings, he holds a 4-point lead over his teammate Jorge Martin. Sitting behind them, the top non-Aprilia rider is Pedro Acosta on the KTM, who finds himself already 21 points behind. The reigning world champion Marc Marquez is even further back, trailing by 36 points. That's no small margin by any measure. What makes Bezzecchi's performance even more remarkable is that this isn't turning into a solo effort. His teammate Jorge Martin has already picked up a sprint race win along with 2 second-place finishes in the full-length races, while the satellite Trackhouse Aprilia rider Raul Fernandez managed to secure 2 podiums right at the opening round in Bararam. The whole Aprilia setup is clicking perfectly right now, and that has to be a genuinely scary prospect for every other team and rider on the grid. Alright, now it's time to look at the other side of this story, Ducati. The manufacturer that looked completely untouchable over the past few seasons is suddenly appearing quite rattled as we move through 2026. Francesco Bagnaia called the final laps of the COTA race an absolute nightmare after suffering a sudden and dramatic drop in performance, triggered by rear tire degradation that hit much earlier than anyone had anticipated. He had been running competitively in the early part of the race, even holding a position inside the top five, but then things fell apart badly in the closing stages. And this isn't just an issue isolated to Bagnaia alone. The wider problem seems to be that the Ducati package relies far too heavily on rear tire grip. As soon as that grip starts to disappear, the entire bike begins to unravel. In contrast, the Aprilia feels much more balanced overall. It can really load up the front end during heavy braking and corner entry, which allows it to stay strong and effective even as the rear tire begins to lose performance. Here's the rather sweet irony in all of this. A big part of Aprilia's current dominance stems from the fact that they closely studied Ducati's famous braking strengths, then went ahead and improved upon them. The student has now clearly overtaken the teacher, and Ducati's engineers are well aware of it. One of the most telling moments in this whole saga came from Aprilia CEO Massimo Rivola. This is a man who gained his early experience as sporting director at Ferrari in Formula One, so when he chooses to speak out, he tends to weigh his words very carefully. He openly admitted that the data had always pointed towards the RSGP being competitive this year, so the strong results didn't come as a huge surprise to him personally. But then he made a much bolder statement without any hesitation, declaring that Aprilia is now the benchmark motorcycle in MotoGP. Maybe we're not used to hearing that, he conceded, but the numbers say so today. The benchmark, that title used to belong solely to Ducati. Now Rivola is claiming it for the factory in Knoll, and right now, nobody else in the paddock is really in a position to push back against that claim. So there you have the complete picture of why the Aprilia RSGP has become the most feared bike in MotoGP 2026. From being perennial backmarkers to suddenly boasting the strongest overall package on the grid, this goes far beyond just a story about one very clever motorcycle. It's really a tale about long-term patience, smart strategic planning, a team environment that rewards bold ideas and innovation, and a rider who is hitting his absolute peak at precisely the right time. Now I really want to hear what you think. Drop your answer down in the comments below. Who do you believe is going to win the 2026 MotoGP World Championship? Will it be Bezzecchi Martin, or do you see a dark horse rider emerging from the pack to take over in the second half of the season? And while you're there, tell me, do you think Ducati can get their act together in time for Jerez, or is this now Aprilia's championship to lose? Be straight with me, I genuinely want to know your honest opinions. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the coverage as this season continues to unfold. Jerez is coming up very soon, and by all accounts it's going to serve as the first proper test of whether Aprilia's early dominance is here to stay or if it's just been an outstanding opening phase. I'll see you in the next video. Keep watching, keep racing.